Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Come File with Us. I'm going to give it another minute just to make sure if anybody else wants to come on and join us. We are going to go over a new contract and filing your 471. If you have any questions, you can raise your hands or put it in the chat and we will answer as they come in. Okay, so we're going to get started. First, what you'll need to do is log in to USAC's EPC portal, and you'll need to go to your landing page. Once you are in there, you're going to click on your library, and it'll bring you to this page. Once you're on this page, you're going to go in the top right-hand corner and click the More Actions. And we're going to go down to create your FCC Form 471. And here, you'll create an application nickname. And usually, something that you'll be able to identify. We usually put the funding year, and then whether it's category 1 or category 2 for this purposes, we'll be using category 1 for your internet access. And you will save and continue. And then, are you the main contact person? You'll say yes. And that'll give the account administrator or whoever account you're in, it'll have your information there. Your holiday summer contact information, we ask that you put in the LCT library's address. That way, if you guys are out on vacation or whatever, we'll get copies of the emails and let you know of anything that's outstanding or coming up. And from there, you will save and continue. In the category of services, again, you can select either category 1 or category 2. For your guys' purposes, we're going to do category 1, which is internet access, and you'll save and continue. And the next page is your entity information. You'll just want to make sure this is the information that's associated. You'll save and continue. Particularly if you had a big library system, it'll have related entities, but for the one library, generally you're not going to have any other entities with it. So you'll save and continue. On this page, this is your discount calculation, which is based off of the school district within your library zone. And it shows your category 1 discount rate, 90%, or it could be 80, 70, and so on. Here you'll save and continue. And now we're at the funding requests. So here you will add an FRN and you'll want to give it a name. I generally put in what the service is and then let's say the bandwidth. So for this purpose, is this funding request a continuation? And you're going to say no because we had posted a 470 and you'll have a new contract. We won't be copying an FRN. That would be if you already have an existing contract and you're going to use it for this funding year. Service type, you only have one option, which is data transmission and or internet access. So you'll continue. Now, on this one, it is either contract, tariff, or month to month. For this purpose, again, we want to enter into a new contract. So you would click on the contract and then you can continue. Since we haven't created a contract yet for the new service, what we're going to do is if you come up here, you'll see contracts. And when you click on this, you're not going to lose your form. It's going to go up to your tasks. So click contracts. And now you see I have 4 tasks. And on this page, this is where you can manage your contracts. So you'll click manage contracts. And down on the bottom on the right, you'll want to add a new contract. So you click on that. And we're going to give it a name. And you may have a contract number from the service provider, or you may not, but you can leave this blank if you don't. Save and continue. And this contract ID number is what Epic automatically assigns. Would you like to upload a copy of your contract? You can if you'd like to, but you don't have to. If USAC wants the contract, they'll request it from you. So generally I select no, save and continue. Is this contract based on a state master contract? No. Is this contract based on a multiple award schedule? No. And then you'll save and continue. Can other applicants piggyback off this contract? No. Was the original contract created by another applicant and then you can piggyback off their contract? No. Save and continue. Was an FCC Form 470 posted for the product and or services you are requesting? Yes. Your FCC wasn't posted prior to funding year 2016 because we posted it this year. And then from your bid evaluations that are your bids that came in, and then the bid evaluation, you'll count how many. We'll say for this example, 3 bids came in. And then let's see. We're going to have to put in a 470 number. So, 1 second. I apologize for not having this done ahead of time.
So Jennifer, oh, there you go.
Here it is. Thank you, Kyle. Just needed you to talk. Okay, so let's go back to funding. Go back into contracts. Manage. So I can go back in to the one we were working on, and I want to edit it. Get us back to where we were. Okay, so down here, we'll put in the 470 number, and this will link this contract to this 470. Oh, that's not going to work, huh? Let's try this one. Okay, we'll link it to this 470. Now, if you have the account number, you can put it in. Otherwise, you'll search by either the service provider SPIN number or put in the service provider's name.
So something to keep in mind here is that searching by the service provider name, it's a little bit finicky. You would need an exact name to search for. Because this is the practice portal, that may not come up directly. But I believe in the practice portal, what we have is that there's sample service providers in there.
Is that under? Let's see.
If you have a SPIN associated with your service provider, then you should try to enter it by the SPIN here. Just because we're in the practice portal, Jennifer, if you search by sample in the name, or if even if you just search by S then it should bring up the,
Okay,
there we go. Yeah.
thank you.
And that's just because we're in the practice portal. This is different from what you as applicants will be experiencing.
So when you do the search, you just want to make sure that it is the correct name that populates the service provider. AT&T, for example, has multiple spins, so you want to make sure you're using the right one. Save and continue. So is this a multi-year contract? So this could be a, a 3-year, 5-year, or it could be a 1-year with 4 annual renewals. For this purpose, we'll say yes. What is the date you awarded your contract? For here, you want to make sure that it's after the 28 bidding period. So when we send out your bid matrix, we'll put the allowable contract date. We can go ahead and use today's date that you signed the contract. And that's also if you don't have an actual contract, but you sent out the intent to award letter, that also, whatever date you sign that. Save and continue. So does this include voluntary extensions? We'll say yes. If all extensions were utilized, so we have 22 to 23, and let's say there's 2 voluntary extensions. Then we'll go 23, 24, and then 24, 25. So we'll say 6/30 of 25. How many extensions are left on the contract? Since this is the first year, we're going to say 2. And then what is the total remaining length of the contract if you exercise all extensions? So we would say 36 months for the 3 years. Save and continue. Is there a statute, rule, or other restriction which prohibits publication of the specific pricing information for this contract? No. Save and continue. And this is where you get to double check to make sure that you have everything correct. You want to make sure, the 470, the service provider, how many bids received, the award date, whether it's a multi-year or not, if it includes the voluntary extensions. And then down here, how many extensions are remaining, how long the actual contract would be, and when it expires. And if everything's good, you may complete. And now you actually have the submitted contracts. So then you can go back up to your tasks and you click on your Create 471 and it'll bring it to where we left off. We can do a search by the bin and then the 2 contracts that are pulled up. We're going to click on the one that we just created. Down here, it's going to again give a little review of what it is, what the service start date, which would be the 7/1 of 22 for this upcoming funding year. What is the date your contract expires for the current term of the contract? So this is technically a 1 year. We're going to do 6/30 of 23. Now, if you just had a straight 3-year contract, then you could put in the 6/30 of 25. It just all depends on the contract that you have. And you'll continue. And this is if you had special construction, network equipment, or maintenance and operations. For this example, the answer is no. We're just doing internet. We will continue. And then we're going to put a brief description And then we're going to save and manage the FRN line items. We're going to add a new line item. And this asks, what is the purpose? Internet access service that includes a connection from any applicant site directly to the internet service provider, the data connection between two or more sites, data connections for an applicant's hub to an internet service provider, or internet service with no circuit. For most of you, it's just going to be internet access. And then it asks the function. We're hoping everybody's on fiber, but you may have, copper or wireless. But you'll click fiber, type of connection. And this is going to be Ethernet. And then you'll save and continue. And your download and upload speed. So you put in what your bandwidth is. So this is either megabytes or gigabytes, and it'll automatically populate. Is it burstable? No, there are some that do, but majority do not have burstable bandwidth. So you'll save and continue. Is this a direct connection to a single school library or a NIC for internet? The answer is yes. The next one is for a wide area network connection circuits. So this is no. And does this include firewall service? Generally, the answer is going to be no. So save and continue. And this is where you'll put in your monthly cost. So let's say it's $1,200. If there's any ineligibles in the cost, that would be if they had voice services or something like that, but generally speaking, your internet should not have ineligibles. So if you put 0, what is your monthly quantity? That's 1. And then it'll calculate for the 12 months. One-time unit cost, that would be special construction or installation charge. For this example, we'll say 0. So you'll save and continue. Is your library receiving the services in this FRN line item? Yes. Save and continue. It lists the recipients of service. Save and continue. And this is, excuse me, a breakdown. Again, it's showing fiber, Ethernet, quantity of 1, and what your total cost would be for the year. So save and continue. Now you can add a second FRN if you needed to, but again, for most of you, it's just going to be one line item. So you can now review your Form 470. You say yes, and then it takes a few seconds, sometimes longer, but you can refresh. And there we go. So you can click on the draft, which will download. And then you can double check it just to make sure everything was put in correctly. So again, what we're requesting, what the 470 was, who the service provider, when you awarded the contract, the narrative puts that it's internet access for 1 gig, and then your monthly cost, for a total of pre-discount of $14,400. It comes down here, discount rate is 90%, so funding from USAC would be $12,960. And as long as you don't need to make any changes, You would then click by checking this box as certify that the information in the PDF document above is correct, and you're going to continue to certification. Here, you certify that the entities listed in this application are eligible for support because they are libraries or libraries consortia eligible for assistance from the State Library Administrative Agency under the Library Services and Technology Act of 1996 that do not operate as a for-profit business and whose budgets are completely separate from any schools, including but not limited to elementary, secondary schools, colleges, or universities. So you will click that box. You also certify that the entity you represent or the entities listed on this application have secured access separately or through this program to all of the resources, including computers, training software, internal connections, maintenance, and electrical capacity necessary to use the services purchased effectively. I recognize that some of the aforementioned resources are not eligible for support. I certify that the entities I represent or the entities listed on this application have secured access to all of the resources to pay the discounted charges for eligible services from funds to which access has been secured in the current funding year. I certify that the billed entity will pay the non-discount portion of the cost of the goods and services to the service providers. So you will also click on that. And this will give you a total funding summary. The next question, are you receiving any of the funds directly from the service provider? The answer is no. Has a service provider listed on any of the FCC Forms 471 filed by this billed entity for this funding year assisted you in locating funds needed to pay your non-discounted share? The answer is no. And then you're going to mark off all these boxes. You certify that the Form 470 was posted for at least 28 days. You certify that the entity responsible for selecting the service provider has reviewed all applicable FCC state and local procurements and competitive bidding requirements. You're certifying that the services the applicant purchases at discounts provided by 47 USC 254 will be used primarily for educational purposes. You will certify that you and the entities you represent have complied with all program rules. You acknowledge that the discount level used for shared services is conditional for future years. So your discount rate can change. Certify that you will retain required documents for a period of at least 10 years. You will certify that you are authorized to order telecommunications and other supported services for the eligible entities. You acknowledge that FCC rules provide that persons who have been convicted of criminal violations are held civilly liable for certain acts arising from their participation in the school and library support mechanism are subject to suspension and debarment from the program. You certify that if any of the funding requests on this Form 471 are for discounts for products or services that contain both eligible and ineligible, you have cost allocated the eligible and ineligible components. And finally, you will certify that the non-discount portion of the cost for eligible services will not be paid by the service provider. And then you will click certify. And you understand that false statements on this form may result in civil liability and/or criminal prosecution. So you say yes. So this gives you certification. You can click here. And this shows you the certified. You can go this will give you the status of where your application is. After it's certified, it may go into PIA review by USAC, then the outreach wave ready and when it's finally committed. You can also go to your news, but there's nothing there. You can look at your funding request. To get your certified 471, you click on your news tab, and then this has your receipt acknowledgement letter that USAC has received it. And if you click down the library 2022 C1, and then it'll give the 471 number, you can click on that and then come down to the original version and it'll download, and this is your certified copy. And you guys are done after that.
Thanks, Jennifer. That's a really thorough presentation. One thing I should mention is if you would like, as applicants, if you want us to review the Form 471s that you draft before certification, I just want to reiterate that you can save and share, and we can help you review those 471s, check for accuracy, and answer any questions you have before you certify there. But you should, before drafting the Form 471, have a copy of your new contract, or if you have an older contract, a copy of that. It'll make it a bit easier to fill out all the information that we just discussed here. Thank you again, Jennifer.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. You can reach out to your account manager. That's what we're here for, to help you, walk you through. If you guys that are on have an existing contract, we will be doing that. Come file with us February 10th.
So Sherry asks a question. By contract, so an award letter would set a contract award date. You can enter into the Epic portal through the process that Jennifer went through, a contract record in the Epic portal. This is something that USAC and the Form 471 will reference. A contract would be something that you create separately with your service provider, and that is something that you should, get record of as well. Once you have that signed and countersigned, please also send us a copy for our records. And Sherry, in your specific case, let's discuss the bid evaluation first. That'll be the first step before you move forward with the award and the signing of a contract.
Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you all. Does anyone have any last questions?
We're good. Well, again, thank you all for joining us. And if you have Any questions, you can reach out to either the LCT@eratecentral.com or your account manager. Hope you all have a wonderful day.